Hello everyone! For those who don't know me, my name is Ben and I am, in New Zealand we're called policy planners, but out internationally I am a spatial planner and a land use planner here in Tamaki Makaurau, Aotearoa, New Zealand. So basically Auckland, New Zealand, where I'm based. I actually have the camera on, so we're going to our recordings from now on when we do our City Skylines recording. My online Monkia is Palpatine001, which I've had since 2003, way back in the SimCity 4 Metropolis days. That's carried all the way through my digital and mixed reality era. But yes, I'm Ben City. I have the Ben City and Talking Southern Auckland blogs, and am a spatial land use planner here in Auckland, New Zealand. Today we are going to be doing one of the 3 specials as part of Waikato. Today we're going to be looking at Waikato Gardens, which you can see in here. This town with its metropolitan centre, and it's technically our largest district pre-city centre in the city. This was developed as part of 5.1 and 5.2 when we were developing the oil sector, and more specifically the ore and metals and concrete. And it's basically now a fully fledged district with its as a metropolitan centre, one of 3 we have in the city. The other 2 being the Waikato North Shore, and the other being Howick, which was also designed to serve the Taranaki oil industry as well. When I get on to 6.0, we will do the city centre itself, which also includes the South Waikato Junction, also parts in here. So we'll be doing Riverside, and we'll also look at things like the downtown, uptown, and everywhere else town, everything that accumulates in the city centre itself. But we've got to still do 5.3, which is the farming, just as a catch-up, which is over here, and forestry, wherever there's a bucket load of trees. Although I would like to keep it within close to the rail network. So yeah, our first of 3 specials using Waikato's, we're going to take a tour of Waikato Gardens, technically our largest district at the moment, and our largest of our 3 metropolitan centres at the moment, standing at just shy of 40,000 residents at the moment. And everyone is happy, which is always a good thing. Yay. The second part of the specials we will be doing is we will be looking at the city policies expansion mod, which has allowed me to basically bring a whole lot of policies online to basically give a little bit more realism feel in the city. So we'll do a whole video just dedicated on that, because there is quite a lot of policies to go through and how they can affect and not affect your cities. And then the final one is, which is technically a series in its own right, I have the transit timetables mod, which basically gives more realism in our transit plan. In fact, it's currently open. And basically what it does is it just gives a little bit more realism into how your transit system works in real life. Now, I had done a special review video on let's see, I've actually got the book beside me, Transit Design by Nicholas Reid, who is one of our best public transport planners in New Zealand, if not the Southern Hemisphere. That's his book here. And basically the transit timetable actually makes, well, you still have to do your route designs, and I'll link the video in the end screen and possibly the comments and the comments to the blog post. But basically, once you've done your route design and that, you come down to your operations, and so which includes things like your peaks, off peaks, night starts, times the buses stop. And because I've got realistic trips, it basically slows it down. And what that does is dedicate on how many buses, trains, so that's light rail, metro rail, heavy rail, are dedicated to a line per hour. And I'm going to give a quick preview. So I'll give a quick preview of a train and a bus. Okay. So this is an example of a train servicing the Trans Waikato Line 5. Okay, and we have got the timetable enabled. And it's at the moment we are... What's the time in the morning? We are on peak, so it's 7:30 in the morning on a... Oh, it's the weekend actually, so... it has recognised the fact we are technically off peak. So we're running every 12 minutes, which is... It's telling me at the moment, so I need 21 vehicles for the line. And it's telling me we will need times 6 trains an hour. If my math is correct. And so that basically measures it during the peak, off-peak, and night services. And then I'll do a whole big spiel on what frequent transport is and what is not. But that is a series on its own. If I was to go and find a bus, so I can go find a bus, and we have got a bus. Again, this is the Waikato Small Loop. You can see the route. If I was to pop into, and you can see it's line, so the route planning there. But if I was to pop in here, it is every 15 minutes because it is the weekend. So that is four buses an hour. 6 buses an hour. 12 is actually, sorry, it's actually 5 buses now. It's 1 bus an hour. Sorry, maths had just totally gone out the window for a minute. Thank goodness for automation. So yeah, I'll cover that in a special on its own. But today we are going to look at Waikato Gardens, which was developed as part of technically 5.2 to support the oil industry, but also to support the wider city as a whole. And the reason for that was we had to get the... and it's still a 40,000 difference as the city continues to grow. I am sure... Although that's currently stacked a little bit better. But as we go across Nuclear City and... probably going to name that Pure Huri Inlet, this one. So through here, and likely to establish the cruise terminal here, so we keep it away from the one of the 2 cruise terminals. I'm a little bit cautious of establishing another one in here because of the drawbridges, because otherwise the drawbridges are going to stay permanently in the stuck up position. So we will not have a cruise terminal near our city centre. It's actually going to be close to one of our big metropolitan centres, but not to worry, there is transit floating around. But yes, Waikato Gardens was established as part of 5.2 to support the ore, metal and concrete industries, but it's also supporting the wider city as a whole. So today we'll take a look at it, because it also gives away a bit of this planning aspect as well, and how I do plannings, given I follow what's called the urban composite model, which I shall go and dig up. So the model I run with is what's known as the composite model, which technically Auckland follows. And it basically is while you've got your core, sometimes you can run 2 cores. So Auckland runs 2, Auckland City Centre and Manukau City Centre, for a population of 1.7 million. You can also have other secondary nodes which also interact around. In these cases, these will be, in Auckland's case, the metropolitan centres. So Auckland's spatial hierarchy is the city centre, technically 2 city centres, the metropolitan centres, the town centres, local centres, and neighbourhood centres. And off the metropolitan centres, you can pick up nodes, which are just basically your big super metros, recognising their sub-region importance. So Manukau, while it is a city centre recognised nationally and geographically, it's also a node because it services the entire southern Auckland sub-region, the biggest and fastest growing sub-region in all of Auckland, at about 750,000 people to central Auckland's 554. So yeah, so that's the model I usually run on. So these would be the metropolitan centres, which have their own catchments, or it could be one of the big heavy industrial complexes as well. So Waikato Gardens serves as one of 3 metros in Auckland, and I am going to release the simulator. We might as well keep it going because we're showcasing the city. You might catch me doing some live zoning as well. So Waikato says one of the 3 metros outside of the city centre itself. The other one is Waikato North Shore with its catchments around it, such as Waikato River Junction, Little Britain North, Original, Zealand, and then the Pokeno industrial complex. There are other industrial complexes floating around as we go out. So that's the first one. The second one is technically Howick is recognised as a metropolitan centre. Okay. And that is supported by Takanini and Taranaki Industrial Complex. Of course, you've got the city centre itself, the highest hierarchy. And then you've got Waikato Gardens, which is has its metropolitan centre surrounds. It will be supported by, as I expand out into Nuclear City, and I'm probably going to name this Pahurihuri Inlet, which is a place in Southern Auckland. So we'll support that, and that was actually ironically designed to support the port and the Gordonton and... Ooh, have I not named... Haha, I have not named... You know what? We'll actually extend that, support the Gordonton complex, as well as the regional airport. The airports are the big airports on the other side of the so I'm just extending a district out. There we go. Yeah, so Waikato Gardens will be the metropolitan centre supporting also Nuclear City, what will become Hurihuri Inlet, Port of Waikato, and the Gordonton Airport and Industrial Complex, which supports the big steel mill, which is going. Taranaki being oil, Moonlight Springs, once we get the autosave out of the way, being a bit of a mix, but that also the Waikato says being the big supporting concrete as well. Don't worry, that more residential will get going as we continue to expand. So when I do 5.3, do the farming, quite a big amount of residential, light density residential will expand into here, and that's going to slowly flow back into Waikato City. So the city's doing a bi-directional donut, in which will eventually connect to each other. So if we look at the size, we start zooming in, and I'm going to take it out of this mode because you're going to see all these little flags. The city is so popular that we've got more working spots than people. I don't know whether I should be happy or not. But it is currently our biggest district at just shy of 40,000. And we've got 427 dog residents present as well. As you can say, they're all pretty happy, which is a very good thing. And the service and the local policies we have enabled is basically EVs, recycling, parking. No such thing as free parking in my cities. Speed bumps, and the cycling initiative. Now it is Sunday morning, which is a good time to check how my bikes are going. Not biking. Which is always a case of checking on. So it's just telling me straight off the bat. Ooh. Oh, there's a helicopter here because the hospital's nearby. Which is telling me straight off the bat, as we do this tour, I need more parking. Let's get it in here so at least we know biking is extremely popular in the city. Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all. Okay, so that's telling me biking's really taking off in the city. These are good things, don't you know? And it looks like we're clustering around this area, which I am honestly not surprised given this is the core of the metropolitan centre. Here's our tram. So that is just telling me, yep, screw him, because we're trying to get our cycling. And cycling parking is always free because we encourage them in our cities. Okay, so Waikato Gardens, as I said, was established to support the ore mineral and steel industries. It has grown into a full-blown district with its own metropolitan centre. So I'm going to turn it around so we face the other way. We are Sunday morning, so we haven't got the full bore of resident capacity. Okay, just to get your bearings again, because I've basically turned the map around. East is below me, so east is that way, west is that way, north is to the right, and south is to the left. So the river drains out into the big bay going up into the north. If I was to rotate that to the north, that's what it looks like. In fact, I'll keep it to the north. This map was based on Elizabeth County in the state of Virginia, according to the map mod. So that's what it is based on. So you can see if I zoom right out, the context of it. So I've taken some liberties and given the names. This place is called Waikato, which is a real place in Aotearoa. This is the Waikato River that drains out into the Waikato Harbour and the Waikato Bay. I have not given this river a name yet. And this is the Waipa River, which joins up here at Waikato Junction and South Waikato Junction. In real life, the two rivers join up in the little town called Ngāwhawahia, which is about 90 minutes... about an hour 10 south of me, where I currently am. By car and just a little bit longer by train. So as you can see, once we get the city centre and all this side does, it'll start working out. But as you can see, just off the urban geography features, you can work out where the metropolitan centre is. So if you follow the mouse, where I am, it's basically from the railway station down to, is that Amberwood Street? Okay, then it cuts back across Oak Street to the subway metro station, and basically follows the metro station round until basically we get to Dean Street and hit the railway centre. So this area here is the metropolitan centre itself. So this is where you're going to find your medium and high density single use mixed use. Demonstration of mixed use. So this is a residential tower. As you can see, we've got a lot more room for residents to come in, but they're not demanding high residential at this point in time. Yeah, urban promenades is going, mixed housing. So on and so on and so on. And they are all currently extremely happy. And if you want to know what the budget is, doing okay. We are doing okay at the moment. I do have the option through a mod to now do private schools and private schools and private hospitals and that, which I might start establishing later on in the city. I am gonna just move that ever so slightly. I'm just gonna have a tutu. Basically, education, your basic education should be free. Secondary, I can understand having some costs, and of course, tertiary education, a little bit more. I'll move that to 65%. I said 65%. 66 also works. Okay, and I've got the sanitation fee on which I can adjust later on. So there you go, universal education, everyone. At least for your basics anyway. So yeah, so the Metropolitan Centre has your civic infrastructure, your big signature buildings like department stores and your big towers, your squares, and your mixed use and your stations to get some transit-orientated development going. Also some park and ride as well. So we do have some park and ride going. Acknowledging we do have people that need to use the car to get in and out, to continue their journeys or finish their journeys, depending which way it's going. So yeah, that's the metropolitan centre, and then everything around is the urban sometime and lower density commercial if I've got it in place. Now the great thing about, and I'm going to take this off so you can actually look at the city unfettered, is, actually no I won't. When I'm usually doing metropolitan centres, I'll actually typically use all the urban styles I've got available to me one way or the other. So we've used a good mix of Australian, urban, hey, yeah, I don't think I've used Mediterranean this time around. China, no. We do have German. We do have Eastern Europe. No, we don't have Eastern European. We're French. No Japanese yet. We do have Northeast, which is one of the backbones. We do believe, yes, we do have Netherlands. Southwest, which is also a backbone in UK, which is a secondary backbone. And also just the plain vanilla stuff as well. Oh, and we've got, and then of course you've got your commercial, and office, including for the first time using the office evolution stuff. So that's the facade on the bottom, and then the modern building on top. I'll show you the demonstration of that. This is a signature class of it here, but this is also in zoned format here as well, I believe. Yeah, they haven't up yet, but they will eventually. Now this, alright, and so yeah, so of course with this metro center, so you got your highest density and you start stepping down. I do use low rent buildings, so they are available across various urban packs. This is the normal one. I do have the French one applying as well, and possibly the Netherlands as well. And of course the Chinese one's back over in Howick. So, and I do keep them close to things like my civic infrastructure and transport infrastructure. Why should they be miles away to access basic amenities that the more wealthier can access, basically? So yeah, so you can see it step down, and all the, pretty much nearly all the urban styles we'll use here. Here's the French. This will be the normal EU. That's the old style. It's the row housing. Did I use the Netherlands in this one? Yes, I did. Here they are. Now, transport-wise is typically I will, and it's going to be easier to now come up. Transport-wise, I usually typically follow an urban island effect. So you will see, and this will apply city-wide most days of the week. So it equally applies down, and this is the Waikato North Shore. I operate the roading on a very strict, well, usually very strict hierarchical system from top to bottom. So just come back out, your top being your highways, then your large roads, then your medium roads, and then your small roads, which also include your alleyways. Love using those, and my pedestrian streets. If I need to make a transit mall, for example, in here, because here to go the buses. Basically, that's just a small road or a medium road if I've backed it up, got it supporting light rail, and you just put the lanes in place and it just turns into a transit mall straight off the bat. No problems. But yeah, I typically follow an urban island hierarchy effect, so not only does it apply to the districts, but it applies down at local level as well. So you can see, and I will have to actually bring this back on. You can see the arterial roads in effect. You can see the smaller arterial roads forming through. You can see, if I come in, the collector roads, which then form the inner island, inner boundary. And then you'll see all the smaller local roads kicking in this case, because it's low density, alleyway. When I'm doing centres, we start kicking in with, or if I'm doing a specific field like the Dutch, or even the Australian one, which I'll go to because I've used the Australian for the first time. Did I use it in this one? No, I actually have to go over. So I start using the pedestrian paths. So if it's in the center, the large ones get used, and they support trams, as you can see. So that's good. So you can see. I do have to keep this on so you can see the cursor. So I do use pedestrian paths a lot. Again, you can see it. You can see that it forms around the square and the big department store with the city hall across the road for this area. And I will also use the one-way version. And then in residential areas, and this is with the Australian housing, it is also can be used as well. So I can alternate between the pedestrian paths or the alleyways, and they form the backbone core of the network, because in planning, traffic and land use planning, so when the two are married up properly, you have what's called a road and a street. Okay? This is a road. This is a road with bus lanes. This is a road. This is a road. This is a road with a tramway. This is a transit mall. This is a pedestrian mall. This is a pedestrian, technically a pedestrian street, so this is a street. Okay. If I drop down, this is a street. This is a street. This is a road. Again, this is a street. This is a road. This is a street. So you've just heard me go road, street, road, street. You might hear the term mall if I've got a transit mall or pedestrian mall in place. But at the end of the day, and that's the autosave kicking in, this is a road. Okay. This is a road. Next hierarchy up. This is a road. The highest hierarchy in the road. This is a highway, or in this case, a motorway, because it's limited access. And these are streets. And these are streets, in this case, pedestrian streets. So what is the difference between the two? And why does it support the urban island effect? Well, and now I'm looking basically over the junction from the city centre side, over the river, back across it to Waikato Gardens. So this is all the Australian, I believe it's all the Australian stuff. Yep, both commercial and residential. Yep. Okay, then there'll be some changes as we move on. Okay, so I use that. Okay, so we're just looking back against this along the quayside. There's a bus. Okay, so a road is designed to move people and or goods efficiently and safely along the corridor. Now you've got to remember you've got users of the corridor ranging from pedestrians, bikes, cars, buses, trucks, emergency service vehicles, utility vehicles, you name it. So you've got to remember they are all on the corridor. But a road is designed to move goods and people in the most efficient and safest way possible for all users on the corridor. A street is designed for people, and they can often be treated, I know this is the case of pedestrian malls I'm looking at here, but they are designed to be extensions of the community and the living space, whether it is residential or, I don't think I've got commercial for these, might for this, I think they're all sitting on roads. Yes, they are. Okay. So they are designed to be the extension of the community space and the living space. So in a street, I know this is a bit issue, you should be able to freely, people take priority, so you should be able to freely interact. If this was a pedestrian mall itself, you should be able to put your dining room, your cafe chairs and out there and hold markets to that quite frequently. Okay, so that is a street, and if I was to come back down here where I've got the alleyways in play, and that's the nuclear power plant, you can hear. you drop down. I'll take this off. Now I've got parking in these cases, so that's okay. And this is looking at the UK set. And EU waterfront. And there's a road and a street. But basically you should be able to interact on these streets. Because yes, you can still, unless it's a dedicated pedestrian mall, yeah, you can still have cars. Cars are second priority. And mechanized form of transport is second priority to people. So that's the difference. Streets are the extension of your living and community spaces. Roads are there to move people and goods efficiently and safely for all users of the corridor. As you can see, as I drop down into commercial side, now this has got parking on it because it's the way the one-way streets go. If I didn't want the parking necessarily, I would have used the two-way alley system because they don't have any parking on it by default. And I'll just see if I can find one. Thing is, I often use the grids as a one-way pattern. Oh, there's Dutch housing with here's the difference between a pedestrian mall and an alleyway with cars on it. I'll just see if I can get one that's a two-way. Ah, yeah. No, I believe that's one way because it's a parked car. It might be all one way because I often use for the islands, when I'm doing these interior islands, often use one way. And this is a good reason for me to use two-way. Because it, strangely enough, actually stops rat running. Which is often a big, huge bugbear. Otherwise, I'm having to do big physical barriers. I don't usually use them in here, and that's a reason. So that is how it's done with the road hierarchy to give these basically give these urban effects. So interestingly, with Waikato Gardens, and this is where we take a drink. While you can see the big metropolitan centre there with the high-rises, it also has a few local centres as well. In this case, you've got this old EU, might also be North American. I might have mixed and matched. I love mix and matching because no district should be homogenous. It should all be heterogeneous. But basically, yeah, it's got a lot of little local centres. So you've got this old town here, surrounded by, in this case, Dutch housing. Okay, so pop along. Now, where was the one that was... all the city noises in my earphones. And that's what it's like when you use a pedestrian path. As I can see, I'm going to need to step up more bike parking. We've got my bike parking's filling up in these very high people areas. Oh, there goes the rocket. Screen grab. Excellent. So that's telling me, Ben, I need more bike parking. Always a lovely problem to have, in my opinion. Always a lovely problem to have. And I'm sure other fellow advocates would... other advocates would agree with such an assessment. Given active mode users, followed by transit, bring in more dollar per spend per patron than those who come in the car. Still not discounting the car, it just has to know its rightful place. That's all, nothing more, nothing less. So as you can see, you're overlooking the river out to, and there goes the train back out to what will become the city centre. Nuka is just over here. And we're looking now north back up the river. Now if I was to cross over, we're now getting into, I believe that's the Australian housing we're starting to crop into. No, it's still the Dutch housing. Ah, the Australian housing. Oh, yes, and I was going to slap in some more. Very finicky on where they want to be. So what's happening there, the reason why it's filling up is they're biking to the bus stop, then catching the bus, and vice versa. Not a bad thing. Using that for first and last mile gaps. Okay, take that back off. Actually, just making sure the city's not doing anything silly. Nope. So as you can see, as you come out to the banks of the Waikato, so that is the Aussie commercial. Okay, and if we were to look out, you're looking out to what will become the city centre and Waikato South Junction later on. Yes, that is a raised bridge. Have we got any shipping coming down? Nope. And the ferries are going. You can see Howick in the background, and that is the Waikato North Shore. So you can see the city centre, metro centre, metro centre. Let me just back it up again. Metro centre. So yeah, we'll just drop down the street level, just do the old rum. I'm not going to get in the car for this. I'm just going to run it on eye level. The drawbridge, got two of the bridges up because we have got a ship going towards the port. And if you were from here, you can see right down the Waipa River with all its bridges. Now we'll pop into not necessarily that one. Ooh, you can hear the background noise. It's great. City's alive. The buses are all working. That's Aussie retail again. So this is a big Aussie quarter. Now the reason why he's going down it is the building's about to be leveled up, so he'll probably be delivering timber or concrete. I hope. Yes, he is. So he's going to level up a building. So of course your trucks have to get in there. Now the great thing is, when I do these ones, and the US row houses are pretty good for these as well, European as well, actually anything with row houses, is you get these neat little interior yards. Now these, and sometimes I'll just go back to back, but these are quite nifty. Because what you could do in reality, so here's an urban design lesson coming up now, and probably some landscape architects, although they'll probably go, no, is your choice on what to do with them. Now, there's two ways I can treat these. I can do this. In this case, this is using evergreens. I can do evergreens mixed with some wildflowers. What is that noise? Am I near a telecom tower? And we're on fire. So that'll be the fire alarm going off. I could do that. So yeah, using deciduous and wildflowers. This is what it looks like. Get that out of there. That's what it looks like. Or I can, if it had an access point, and I can easily create one, but I won't. I can also do the get it there and create a create a park on my own. So basically create a scene. Now, where is that chopper? Yeah, so yeah, I could do that. And as we head up towards the metropolitan centre, as you can see, and I'll just drop down. Oh, got the train going in. So you got the tram. Because it's quite lively today. But as we pop over, you can see the interior of the metropolitan centre. So it's, of course it's going to be busy and lively. If I go to the central square itself, which I've just gone to, it's the department store, serviced by tram. There's the square. And then you've got mixed urban promenades and hotels on the other side. And I've just noticed a big shadowing effect there. I'm just wondering, do I absolutely... Oh, okay. Yeah, trying to get a... Just get a smaller one there so you don't get it as a big shadowing effect. From that. And then you just pop back out and away you go. And of course then you've got the other side, which I will develop up to probably to some medium density stuff just to finish it off before we pop over to that side. So that concludes a tour of Waikato Gardens with some urban geography and how I do things on the way out. Be on the lookout for some more Waikato ride session where I will get into... he's going this way this time. Where we'll jump into more public transport and we watch the public transport system get to work. And that, because they're always fun to do, especially the big train rides and that. Of course, the buses are always fun too, especially when they get stuck because you know where the problem, you know where your problems end up being. But yeah, that is basically Waikato Gardens. It's one of the 3 big metropolitan centres, the other 2 being the North Shore and Howick. It is the largest of my metros, being at, oh, we've gone to 41,000, looking good. And I've just got to do some finishing touches off by just basically finishing this area up. Yeah, just basically finishing all this area up, and then we'll jump over and do Puhuri. Basically get that opened up as well to just do more support. And then we'll get ready to do 5.3, which is farming, 5.4, which is the lumber. This has been a special on Waikato Gardens. I've got another 2 special series with Waikato. The next one I will be covering the expanded city policies. And then the final of the 3 specials is we'll be looking at the transport timetable one, because it has a very big intricacy on how public transport planning is actually done by the transport planners, given I'm a special and a land use planner. I'm Ben, also known as Palpatine001, aka the Senate. This has been a Waikato special covering Waikato Gardens. Being tuned for the next special where we cover city policies, which also can fall into the realm of the planner.